Let's check in with our buddy Ray in Maryland joining us right now. He's been waiting for a while. Ray, thanks. You're on the air, man.
Hey, man. Happy Friday.
Yeah, you too.
Hey, I don't know, man. You saying Netflix is the only necessary paid service? I'm kind of partial to this other one. It's called SiriusXM. So
no, I meant
keep it at those two. I know you probably don't have to pay for it.
No, but not that. I meant like video, channels, not audio. Although there's a lot of video.
Exactly.
Yeah, all right.
Yep,
well, excluding where I work, Ray. You don't get me in trouble now.
Okay, man. Hey, you mentioned the other day, I've got a quick concert review and one little tidbit on the Hall of Fame and then my 5 solo albums. But you mentioned, I think it was on Monday or Tuesday, I think it was Tuesday show, that somebody on the Fans of Trunk Nation page posted your slight Super Bowl or Hall of Fame rant, and that was me. But just to let you know, it's already received over 30,000 views, and people love your rants, dude. I've got comments, hundreds of comments from all over the world, and they're in full agreement with you, man. So I always like to spread the word of Father Trunk. So just to let you know, I'm always out there.
Well, I appreciate it, Ray. Thank you to you and all the folks that spread the word. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah, man, no problem. You're welcome. My wife and I went and saw Richie Kotzen in Wilmington, Delaware on Saturday at the Baby Grand Opera House. It's only like a 300 to 350 capacity. And by the way, Richie was friggin' phenomenal. Vocals, the band, he had a 3-piece band. They were great. Richie was great. His playing was great. And it was maybe half full. And it's a 300, just over 300 capacity. And it's like, I still don't fucking get why he is not doing better business. The guy is as good as or better than anybody out there. So I was disappointed by the crowd, but the place was super nice. And it was just a great show. But, I mean, Richie should be doing way bigger business. So anybody listening, go see Richie. Oh, my God, it was so great.
Yeah, it is. Go ahead, finish up, Ray. I'll comment. Go ahead.
Okay. The one thing that hasn't been brought up about the Hall of Fame, and I watched the entire show, skipping through, the obvious parts, but the minimal thing that the Ozzy camp could have done. Nobody's brought up that they played like a 5-6 minute video montage in the middle, and half of it's stuff you've already seen. Why couldn't they have taken 1 minute of those 5 or 6 minutes just to put a picture up and the name of, I don't know, Bob Daisley, Lee Kerslake, the late Randy Castillo,
Yeah.
It's that would have been simple. Ozzy wouldn't have, I got why you gave Ozzy a pass. He could, he's where he's at right now. But you could have put the picture of Jakey Lee. Put a picture up of these guys. Let's have some representation. And I thought that was a little ridiculous. But I'll go through my 5 solo albums real quick. I got Ted Nugent's debut at number 5. My number 4 is Rob Zombie's Hellbilly Deluxe, which I thought was a really good solo album, breaking out of White Zombie, and I know that's a little gray because Rob is White Zombie.
No, that's true, though. That's accurate. Yep. I got no problem with that.
Yep. Sebastian Bach's Child Within the Man, I think his best solo album to date. I got at number 2, Ace's 78 solo album, and number 1, my all-time favorite solo album is Ozzy's Diary of a Madman. And quick honorable mention, probably because it's the biggest one ever, not in our wheelhouse, but honorable mention to Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Good call on that, Ray. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, we don't, the pop R&B world, obviously not something we really talk about, but yeah, if you're going to go that route, for sure. And yes, a solo record, without a doubt. Off the Wall came before it, but obviously, yeah. Okay, so on Kotzen, this has come up a lot, and I've said it a million times, talent does not translate to popularity, unfortunately, always, and just the way it is, man. But look, I'm sure Richie's happy to be out there, even being able to tour America. I've told the story before when I first got to know Richie and started trying to help him out a little bit. 25 years ago, about And he couldn't even get one gig in America. Nobody knew who he was. So that's a big, for him to be able to go out and do a tour, even there's a couple hundred people there in clubs for him, that is a big plus. But yeah, it's hard to figure, but that's just the way it is. I'll say this too, Richie is a guy that completely marches to his own drum. And what I mean by that is if he cared about, more popularity, there's things that he could do that would help that. Meaning that, the Winery Dogs gave him his biggest spotlight. And, if you heard Portnoy on the show yesterday, it doesn't sound like Winery Dogs will be doing anything for at least a couple years. So Richie, being the guitar player and singer in that band, if he wanted to, when he made a solo record, could go with making a more straight up hard rock Winery Dogs-esque record. But he does not. If you've heard his new record, if I'm being honest, it's pretty trippy. So, he goes against the grain a lot in terms of his approach to things. He's a true artist in that way, for better or worse. Like he does not care. He's just going to do what he wants creatively. But, if he came out of the Winery Dogs and made a really revved up, still with great playing, but more direct hitting hard rock record, like some of the stuff he's done in the past, that would probably give him a leg up, because that audience that discovered him through the Winery Dogs would connect with that solo music a little bit more. I think asking that audience to get into, say, his new record is a little more difficult, because there's some stuff on it that's very, very different. So there's that aspect of it, back to the Ozzy stuff. I know there's redundancy here and we're all saying the same thing, but it is very, very hard to comprehend how you do not have acknowledgement of these very, very, very key people. And Ray's point about Randy Castillo, great one on that too. Look, Phil Soussan, even though Soussan was only there for a short time, he wrote Shot in the Dark. It was a huge song for Ozzy. I love Joe Holmes. Now, I don't expect Joe Holmes to get a shout out because Joe never did a record, but Joe Holmes played live for like 5 years. You had Mike Borden in there. You had Robert Trujillo in there. You had Gus G in there. There's been a lot of big time contributors. Rudy Sarzo, Tommy Aldridge. Even though those guys didn't record so much, they were focal points of the live show. Don Airey. How can we forget Don Airey? So, so many of these people, so vital, but yeah. Hard to figure. I don't know how you reconcile it.